So leadership. I am beginning to notice something about businesses and the way that their employees act and respond to my needs has everything to do with upper management. I'm convinced that it has everything to do with upper management. So that means if you're responding to my needs and I am feeling or getting the vibe that it's really important for you, you're feeling some frustration and anxiousness, and you're trying to manipulate me because you want me to spend more money, guess who taught you that? That was what you were trained to do. That's the bottom line. You were trained to try to maximize the dollar amount and get people to spend more. And that comes from the manager. And that happened at a store I will not name out of courtesy. Never happened before in that store. But it made me realize that has to do with the upper management at that store. And that woman's just she's either been around a very long time and that's the way she was taught. But nobody's ever taught at me or treated me or made me feel like I had to spend more money than I need. And I'm almost afraid to go back and get a refund on a gift card of some kind because I'm choosing not to spend the money at this time. And I don't think it's going to make her very happy. And she works there regularly. And she's going to try and make another issue out of it. Never had, and I will bring it up. I will be assertive. By the grace of God, hopefully I will be assertive enough to say, listen, da-da-da-da-da-da, and this isn't, who is your manager? And that means you'd have to speak to someone corporately for the region. And unfortunately, that means that other people at the company are also feeding that crap and that jumbo mumbo to their lower employees, that the dollar, you're going to try to get their money. And learning that from other stores too. The issue with the laundromat. That woman is anxious, afraid. But that means that someone has told her and taught her and trained her that she must be vigilant. She must not extend grace. And she needs to cut the bottom line. When she cuts the bottom line, when customers come in past the 1 minute mark, you need to get them out. That comes from upper management or becomes from her own personal decision that what I've done in the past is extend grace. That's not worked. So now I've got to put my foot down. But it's really not what works at all. And she doesn't know that. She does bad business. And I actually ran into her again at the other laundromat. And before she acted on it, I saw her facial expression. And she was irritated that I was in her laundromat after 9. Well, guess who's supposed to close up before 9? That's her responsibility. So she has people in her laundromat walking in and starting laundry at 9 o'clock at night. That's her problem because she was supposed to close up on time. And she's trying to take it out on me. And I saw it in her expression just a millisecond before I calmly and politely told her, I've gone in and I've left a note for the management there for the attendant on duty. And that's all. And she said, oh, okay. And she walked in, locked the doors, and she was about 3 or 4 minutes late. This is from the woman who probably about a minute after 7:30 had an issue with me starting laundry and attacked me. We're just going to call it attack because that's what it was. It was attacked. So she's pretty much running things, but I doubt she's the one who owns the business. But something in her mind has made her be that way, or it comes and it trickles down from upper management. I had another experience at another store recently, and I can't recall, but I just noticed I was starting to pay attention to these things. I wasn't even trying to pay attention because I'm, depressed. These things just start entering my mind. I go, well, this is really odd. Because the reason this person is treating this way is because this is what they were trained to do. And that means that management has everything to do with the employees. And I know it because I worked for Bed Bath & Beyond. I worked for several other retail companies. And you are going to be told what to do. And in very specific cases, you are told what you cannot do and what you can do and what you are quote-unquote encouraged to do with specific types of customers perhaps, or customers in general, and what your role is, and you're going to do it. And guess where that comes from? Management, training. It's brainwashing. I mean, that's what you're doing when you're training someone, is you're brainwashing them to think the way you want your company people to think. We'll call it company think, brain think. just kind of like 1984, and I've never noticed these things before, and I believe I'm noticing them for a reason, and really starting to maybe learn some leadership principles simply by being present. And I think I've never really truly been convinced that the top is what's on the bottom. But somehow, in middle management, and this is consistent in any company I've ever seen, when managers come, all of a sudden people are nicer. All of a sudden, more refunds and exchanges and grace is extended because you have upper management available who actually know what real customer service is about, or are very good at lying so that they exercise customer service the way it really should be carried out. But you know that the other 6 days of the week, that kind of grace isn't going to be extended. Does anyone else have experience with that? I have a feeling you have. Because you understand that the upper management, and if you know the people that started these companies, the way that their actions have been carried out by middle and lower management are not what the company started out as. Not what was intended. Because a true CEO understands that if I walk into your business at 8 o'clock or 7:59, you're not even going to give me a polite message. You're going to let me shop. Unless you know how to do it with good boundaries. You can just let them know politely after they've been looking around. You just say, oh, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, we do usually close at such and such, and we're going to be open at such and such, but you feel free to browse, and we're not going to kick you out. Okay? It's a message to leave, but it's done with respect. I'm not even sure if that's appropriate. At Bed Bath & Beyond, which I can't really reveal in this message, but at a certain company that I worked for, we were actually taught that if someone walks in a minute before close, you don't do anything. You help them shop so they can do it as quickly as possible, but never do you say, oh, by the way, just so you know, we just closed, actually. And I would see specific managers who would carry those things out, and other managers who do not because they're more worried about getting home and the bottom line. But the bottom line is actually business. And at one store I worked at, we would have some people come in, and if we let them stay, that was $1,000 worth of business in a half an hour. So for paying a few employees, about 4 or 5 employees, $9 an hour, 9 times 5 is $45, so I'm paying $45. It's not probably keeping me a whole lot longer to keep the lights on and to keep the air conditioning going for a half an hour. Over time, that does add up. But you know what? That's going to be on anyway because we're going to be cleaning up anyhow. $1,000 for $45 of giving that to my employees. That's a pretty good deal. $900. Maybe it's just a $5 transaction. But you know what? You're going to be there cleaning up and doing stuff anyway. So really, it's not a big deal. And so I think I've seen both. But I know that if upper managers had been there, they would have been all over helping the customer. That's why they're in upper management, some of them. Other of them are there because they're just better at organizing capacities and other types of things that lower managers are not good at because they're good at carrying out those type of things. That's why they're lower managers. They're good at carrying out the wishes. And unfortunately, it's not done in an effective way in most businesses. I noticed that as the authority trickles down, generally the lower you get on the trickle down, the more strict and ungracious people get. It's very interesting. I'm not sure why, but it's my observation. And people are more so worried about pleasing management that they are more rigid in carrying out management's request. Or you simply have bad management, like at the laundromat.